it's a big one, a matter of national importance. So whether Nigeria will lose up to about 20 or 25% of its external savings. So the United Kingdom Commercial and Arbitration Court has granted Nigeria leave to appeal against 9.6 billion US dollar judgment in favor of Process and Industrial Development Limited (PIGB). Nigeria's legal team, led by the Attorney General of the Federation and the Minister of Justice Abubakar Malami, has successfully secured a stay of execution on the judgment, subject to payment of 200 million US dollar security payment to court pending the determination of the appeal. Mr. Malami says that the legal team will study the court rulings, exercise the right of appeal, and consider the legal options available as it relates to the payment of 200 million US dollars in view of the 60-day window stipulated by the court. He says in a statement to Channels Television and Court, "I am pleased with today's development in the court and see these as a positive resolution that contributes an important step in the government's efforts to defend itself in fair and just process. We look forward to challenging the UK Commercial Court's recognition of the tribunal's decision in the UK Court of Appeal, uncovering PIGB's outrageous approach for what it is, a sham based on fraudulent and criminal activity developed to profit from a developing country." End of quote. A British court had on August the 16th granted the small private company access to seize up to 9.6 billion US dollars in assets belonging to the Nigerian government. That sum is about 20% of the country's foreign reserve. This judgment came about after the company sued the federal government over a failed deal to build a natural gas plant. That gets us talking tonight on the program. Stay with us. Let's get what the legal angles to this. Yesterday, you remember also that we discussed the National Assembly resuming after recess. And one of the first things that they said they wanted to do is that they pull up what they call, the Senate pull up what they call the legislative agenda. We'll look at that as we have in our Abuja studio, the Senate spokesperson, Senator Adeyeye. He joins us from our Abuja studio. And from Surulere, Lagos, is a senior advocate of Nigeria, Chief Robert Clark, who is going to be giving us perspective and the legal angles to this issue of PIGB. Let's get to Surulere, Lagos with Chief Robert Clark. Thank you so much, Chief Clark, for coming tonight on the program. As it stands right now, from what has come out of the stay of execution, what do you make of this judgment, and what do you perhaps think it has become a success, a headway for Nigeria? Okay, we'll get to Robert Clark. Apologies there. We'll reconnect with Chief Clark in a moment. Let's go to our Abuja studio with the Senate spokesperson, Mr. Adeyeye. Thank you so much, Senator Adeyeye, for joining us tonight on the program. As it stands right now, perhaps I know that the Senate is asking the Attorney General of the Federation to appear before it to explain the situation with this PIGB. But let's talk about your legislative agenda. You've listed a whole lot of issues, from youth empowerment to the issues of enhancing gender equality, reduction of acute housing deficits, creation of special health service centers in the 6 geopolitical zones of the country. You also said you're going to back the anti-corruption war of the executive. You're also going to help make procurement processes less cumbersome. And one of the plans is to open National Assembly policy of open budget, open National Assembly. Give us an insight onto what this plan is all about.
Thank you for Chiam, for having me on this program. This is the first time the Senate will be drawing up a very comprehensive legislative agenda. It has never happened before. And that showed the seriousness of the 9th Senate. We want to make a difference in the life of Nigerians. We want to say that it's not going to be business as usual. We want to have a paradigm shift. And it all started when the president of the Senate, Senator Ahmad Lawan, was campaigning for the position of president of the Senate. He came out with what he called his own personal legislative agenda. And following from that, when we were inaugurated, it was the desire of most senators, and particularly leadership of the Senate, that we should have a guide, an agenda that we can pursue to make a difference in the life of Nigerians, to do things differently this time around. And hence, the committee was set up. The committee was set up by the President of the Senate to fashion out a legislative agenda for the 9th Senate. They submitted their report yesterday, and today, every senator had an opportunity to make a contribution in the debate of the legislative agenda. And it was a very robust discussion, debate today at the National Assembly. So the essence of it is to provide a guide for the 9th Senate. We have drawn up very comprehensive programs now that we want to achieve. Like we have mentioned yourself, youth empowerment, the anti-corruption war to be strengthened, creating jobs for the masses, poverty alleviation, strengthening the lawmaking process and making it less cumbersome, ensuring that when we make laws, they are likely to receive presidential assent, opening up this, the National Assembly more to the citizens to own it and to be part of it, and to make contributions to our deliberations and lawmaking processes, and so on and so forth. It is an attempt.
Sorry, apologies if I may butt in quickly. One thing that caught the eye of a lot of people who have followed, especially what has happened in the 8th National Assembly and how the Petroleum Governance Bill, the PIGB, did not sail through. It didn't get the assent of the president. What are you going to do differently? Are you going to start from the scratch? And also the constitutional amendment for 2 consecutive National Assembly term, it has failed. 7th Assembly, 8th Assembly, with billions of naira being spent on that process.
Of the fact that that particular bill hit the rocks in the 2 previous Senate. But I can assure you that this time around, that bill will be passed by the grace of Almighty God. There is a great commitment on the part of senators to ensure that that bill is passed because of the great benefit it will have for the overall development of the nation. And what we are going to do is to have a comprehensive review of the existing bill and to see what are the reasons why it didn't say true, why it didn't say true in the National Assembly. And that is being done, and by the grace of Almighty God, like I said, that bill will receive great attention. It is a commitment even from the President of the Senate and the leadership to ensure that this time around, that bill is passed. And I can assure you that with the spirit with which the senators are working, and there is no division at all in the Senate, there is no partisanship at all. Everybody we are cooperating together because we realize the fact that we don't have the luxury of the time to be bickering, to be fighting. We have to come in here and do the business of the people, and that is exactly what we are doing.
But a lot of Nigerians are expecting so much from the National Assembly, which is supposed to be sort of a conscience to what the executive is doing. On the issue of how open your own budget is, there's been a lot of talk about buying vehicles or not buying vehicles. A lot of Nigerians are agitated about the cost of governance and how much that goes into it. When you say open governance as part of your legislative agenda, is the Senate also looking at cutting costs?
Thank you very much, Sheung. A lot of the problem that we have today, particularly the National Assembly, has to do with the fact that there is a huge misconception about the role of the National Assembly in this democracy. People are very familiar with the executive and judicial arms of government because even under the military, those 2 arms of government are in existence. But even in a monarchy, we have an executive, we have an executive arm, you also have a judiciary. What really makes a system democratic is the legislative arm of government. It's when you have a legislature, a deliberative arm of government, a lawmaking body. That is when you can say that a country has democracy. But Nigerians are not very familiar with the work of the National Assembly. And a lot of people even see that, even question whether there is even any need to have a National Assembly or even houses of assembly. And this is very unfortunate. So a part of our responsibility in this 9th Senate will be to engage the public, the media, the civil society groups, the general public, to open up to them about the major contributions that arm of government is making to national development. It is very essential. I believe if people are aware of this, if they know the kind of sacrifices that lawmakers are making, because the impression is created sometimes. These people sit for 3 days, Tuesday to Thursday. They don't know that a lot of the work of National Assembly is done at the committee level. And a lot of the lawmakers even work at weekends. Some close very late in the night. So when people begin to see and appreciate the kind of work that we are doing, I believe there will be less emphasis on this issue of the emoluments and all that. The truth of the matter is that the Nigerian public, and it's not only Nigeria, the legislature is never a very popular arm of government. But we will try as much as possible in this ninth Senate to engage the public periodically to let them know why some of the things we are doing are essential. The budget of the National Assembly has never been a secret. Unless people are lazy, these are open things.
All right. We need to, I think the agitation, Senator Adeyeye, has been the level of poverty in the land and what they think those who are leading them are getting. The imbalance is what they love. But thank you so much for some of the things that you have said. That's how far we can go, and that's how we leave it on the program. My sincere thanks to my guest tonight on the program, Chief Robert Clark and Senator Adeyeye. Thank you so much for coming on today. That's our show for today, everyone. Many thanks for watching. I'm Shion Kimale. Bye-bye.